Previously on Alan Wake. I came to Bright Falls with my wife, Alice.
Thank you for coming here with me. I thought maybe you could write here.
I don't want to hear it! God damn it, Alice!
Now, she's missing.
Alice? Alice?
I woke up behind the wheel of a crashed car. I'm missing a week. I was attacked by shadowy men straight from a nightmare. The sheriff took me to the lake Alice and I had stayed at, but the cabin had disappeared.
Honey, I'm home.
Back here, sweetie. How was it?
Worst weather I've ever seen.
We have two of these New York flashback scenes in the game, and actually we almost cut them out. And I'm very glad that we were able to keep them in because they are very important to the story that we're telling here. These are the days when the Wakes were actually happy. And we spent so much of the game in danger and in darkness, running around with guns blazing. And also, when we see Wake and Alice together, most of the time they're arguing or at least, not being very happy. But these are the days when they were both very, very happy together, and these are the days they long for. In the second flashback sequence, towards the end of the game, you can see the cracks there. They aren't really doing very well anymore. But right now, this one, it was good.
They're on your desk. Tell me what you think.
No kidding. I didn't think you'd get them done this quickly.
On occasion, I can perform all sorts of miracles, my dear.
Oh, really?
Well, you seemed to think so last night.
These look really good.
Oh, sure, until Barry gets his hands...
It's true what they say about the fall and the sudden stop at the end. I'd lain here in the snow while the lurid chain of scenes that had led me here kept playing in my head. A rerun of my own private snuff movie. A memory of my corpse. Alone at my own wake. Thinking in metaphors again. The femme fatale was gone. Only a sour taste remained of the kiss that killed me. This was a late goodbye. 13 years after I'd gotten my revenge, it had finally caught up with me. It had been a long time to bear the pain. My blood painted the snow red. A gruesome slushy dissolved all the scattered painkillers and leisurely dripped down to the sewer, mingling with the bile of the city, becoming one with it. I can see them now, my wife and my baby. Honey, I'm home.
Which, by the way, will happen over my dead body. The last time was the last time. Oh, and speaking of Barry, he called. Alan! Alan, please check the fuse box.
I'm right here. I'm on it, honey.
Please hurry.
I'm right here, baby.
I'm fine. Just get the lights back on, now, please.
Honey, it's a power outage. I've got the flashlight.
Okay. Hi.
You okay?
I'm sorry. It just really spooked me.
Don't worry. We'll just break out the candles.
I know it's stupid, but it's just... especially when I'm not prepared for it, It gets to me.
I love you.
Tell me a story, writer.
Okay. I used to have these nightmares when I was a kid. The dark really spooked me, too. When it got really bad, my mom gave me this old light switch. She called it the clicker.
The clicker, huh?
Yeah. If I ever got scared of the dark, I could just flip the switch and a magic light would scare the monsters away.
Oh, sure.
Here it is.
Alan.
Maybe it'll help you too.
Yeah, nice story, writer boy. You made that up right now, didn't you?
No. Seriously.
I love you, even if you are a liar. Thanks for this.
How do you feel, Mr. Wake? Any nausea, disorientation, anything like that? Mr. Wake, how are you feeling?
I'm okay. My head's fine. I had to lie about my headache and memory loss. He'd send me to a hospital for tests. I couldn't leave without Alice.
Very well. I don't think you have a concussion, but you've obviously been through quite a shock. You should take it easy for a couple of days.
Thanks.
Well then, Mr. Wake, we're done here. If the pain gets any worse or you experience any other symptoms, you should come see me. I'll let you get on with it then. Sarah, Sheriff Breaker, is waiting for you. She's very good at her job. I'm sure she can locate your wife in no time.
Thank you for testing the lights, Miss Weaver. Everything seems to be fine. I don't have the luxury of being complacent, Deputy Grant. The bulbs will need changing, so we can't change them in the dark. I'll be sure to take care of it, Miss Weaver.
Come in, Mr. Wake. Your phone's on the desk. The battery was dead. It's charged now.
Have you started looking for my wife yet?
My men are already on it. Now, can you tell me what happened?
I'm not sure. I can't remember. We were arguing. I walked out of the cabin.
The cabin on Cauldron Lake?
How did you end up at Stucky's gas station?
I wanted to tell her what had happened last night, but I couldn't. She'd lock me up. Excuse me. I need to take this. Hello?
Alan, please help me.
Alice?
Stop talking to the law. You'll do exactly what I say if you ever want to see your wife again.
Who is this?
Go to the back lot. There's a hole in the fence on the left. Look inside the junker. I left a little something there to convince you we're all on the same page here. After you ditch the cops, you're gonna meet me in Elderwood National Park. There's a spot called Lover's Peak. Midnight. Don't do nothing stupid, pal.
Mr. Wake, can I help you with
Watching
anything?
you.
I need to get some air. The sheriff said I could go out back.
Of course, Mr. Wake. You can get there through
In many small towns, life is peaceful and not that much happens that really requires police intervention. Such is the case with Bright Falls also. And the sheriff station is really a friendly, almost cozy place. Indeed, the jail cells are more often used to sober people up than holding anyone for a longer period of time.
The caller had told me to find a hole in the fence behind the police station. There was something for me in an abandoned car. Alice's driver's license had been placed on the front seat. The caller meant business.
Barry?
Ow! Ow! Thank God! Where the hell have you been? I've been trying to reach you for a week, you and Alice. I've been worried sick. I flew out yesterday. I'm here in Bright Falls.
Barry, listen to me. I'm at the sheriff's station. Come and get me. I can't talk now.
Al, what the hell is going on?
I had to get the sheriff to let me go. I needed to get to Elderwood National Park to meet Alice's kidnappers.
Well, folks, it's been another long night, and it's about time for me to sign off for a while. God knows I need my beauty sleep. Just one more item before I go. It's been a busy night for the sheriff.
writer is a light that reveals the world of his story from darkness, shapes it from nothingness, the way a sculptor carves a statue from a block.
Marvelous, Sarah. I just wanted to settle all the damage the Anderson brothers might have inadvertently caused on their recent and regrettable little outing. They are not accountable for their actions.
Are you feeling any better, Mr. Wake?
I'd like to leave. Am I free to go?
Well, we still need to talk about...
Am I under arrest?
No, of course not. But I need to know where you'll be staying so I can get in touch with you.
I'd avoid the motel. The Majestic is known for its roaches. The cabins at Elderwood are pretty nice, though.
That sounds perfect.
I'm Dr. Emil Hartman. I'd like to invite you to stay at Cauldron Lake Lodge.
Did you talk to my wife?
I had the pleasure of discussing your situation with her on several occasions.
Did you set something up with her?
I invited her here. My clinic is a place where...
Oh, hey! Oh, my!
Take it easy.
Hey, nobody move! Get your hands off of my client!
Who are you?
I'm Barry Wheeler, his agent. If you have business with Mr. Wake, you talk to me. You yokels won't know what hit you once I sick my lawyers on your asses.
No harm done, Sarah. I'm all right. I don't want to press charges. Mr. Wake, my offer still stands.
Get me out of here.
What the hell was that about, Al? We don't need a replay of that thing with the paparazzi. I thought they were gonna lock you up.
I had to talk to someone. I told Barry everything. He thought I was certifiable, but when he heard about the manuscript, I had him. The fact that I'd written something, even if I couldn't remember it, was enough for him. He smelled money. And he believed that Alice had been kidnapped. Anything beyond that was another story. I had a midnight appointment with the kidnapper in a place called Lover's Peak, somewhere in Elderwood National Park. The plan was to rent a cabin.
I don't like it, Al. I don't like any of it. It's not good. In fact, it's the absolute opposite of good.
Mr. Wake! Barry, you found him.
Hi, Rose.
Oh, wow. I was just thinking about you, too.
Great.
I was just bringing Rusty some coffee. He's on the balcony, looking after Max. Poor thing. I really need to go. Great to see you again, Mr. Wake. Later!
Who's Max?
What an airhead.
Jeez, Mr. Takes a swing at everybody. This is not her fault. She's a very nice
The visitor center is the hub of Elderwood National Park area. It's a place where you can get information about the local wildlife, directions if you are going out hiking in the forest, or keys if you are renting one of the cabins in the area. It also has a nice cafeteria which looks out into the forest. It's a bright and beautiful place to stop for a while and have a cup of coffee, but it's also filled with lots of stuffed animals and mammoth skeletons and so forth, so it's not really a place that you'd want to visit at nighttime, which is what you will be doing.
But that doesn't stop some lowlifes. Well, at least Max is gonna be okay. You got lucky.
Seriously, Al, what you were saying in the car? Just listen to yourself. What, you shot a guy and his body just disappeared? When was the last time you slept? What, are you high? Have you been drinking?
No! Look, Barry, I'm missing a week, and someone's got Alice.
Do
and
you
everything's
understand what it sounds like when you say stuff like that? Don't get me wrong, it's a good story, could be a bestseller. But when you start confusing fiction with reality, you're buying yourself a ticket to the funny farm. Seriously, Al, you can't just go and meet a kidnapper. Those situations always end up in disaster. You gotta talk to the cops.
She's my wife, and it's my call. Can we talk about this later?
No, this whole thing Listen, you hit your head. I mean, geez, Al, come on.
Wait here.
You gotta understand how crazy all this sounds.
I think this is the form you wanted.
And here are the keys. Okay, you're all set, Mr. Wake. Glad to have you staying here.
Thanks. Can you tell me how to get to Lover's Peak?
Oh, sure. It's at the end of the nature trail. Just follow the paths, you'll get to it eventually. It's an easy walk. Nice spot, too.
If you're trying to pull a joke on me, freak me out, it's working. Ha ha, let's have a laugh on Barry. Well, you had me going there real funny, Al. You can quit it now. Look, Al, you're asking me to believe that you shot a dude who went poof into thin air, a guy who was bulletproof until you pointed a flashlight at him. You hear that from people who end up spending time in padded rooms. That's just crazy talk, Al. Al? Al? We should go to the sheriff or call the FBI.
Damn it, Barry, they'll kill her! This is not a goddamn debate, Barry. I'm going to Lover's Peak. He said to come alone.
Okay then. I understand. But you're my best friend and I'm worried that you're not right in the head. Tell me what to do to help and I'll do it.
You stay here, and if I'm not back by morning, call the cavalry.
Just be careful with the natives, Al. These yokels are dangerous.
Barry is a very fun character to write, and frankly, a big part of that is Fred Berman, who does Barry's voice. And he's a cool guy because it doesn't matter how stupid the thing I write is, he actually always makes it sound good. He would just always find the right tone for Barry and sort of make him human even though he's saying something completely idiotic. Barry's a clown, of course, and you know, you could call him a greedy little weasel and you wouldn't be far off from the truth. But at the same time, he's a loyal friend and he's smarter than he lets on. And, you know, he's got the flaming eye of Mordor, so, you know, that goes a long way.
I'll be with you in spirit every step of the way, Al. Walk through the door now.
I knew I should have gone to the cops. This wasn't the smartest thing I'd ever done, but I was still angry with Barry for trying to talk me out of it. These people had called me right in the sheriff's station. The cops wouldn't scare them, and they had Alice. The air in the visitor center was heavy with an awful smell, as if some rotten drowned thing had crawled up from its grave. Rusty kept coughing blood. My eyes were drawn to the twisted shape of his broken leg. The attack had been vicious. Max whined in his cage. Rusty's eyes were wild with fear and terror. He gasped. "Mr. Wake, it happened just the way it was on that page." Vision left me weak. This was no head injury.
Rusty, hang on! I'm coming! Please, help me! Anybody? Help me! Help me! Can you hear me? Anyone? Please help! Help me! somebody.
Hello?
Back here. I'm back here.
Mr. Wake?
Oh, hell.
It happened just the way it was on that page. I found. Came true. It knew. So dark. It'll come back for me. You must... The lights. In the office. I have the key.
Okay, Rusty. Hang on. I'll be right back. Whatever did this couldn't be far. Rusty had found a page from the manuscript. It would help me understand what had happened. The only way to make sure that Rusty
Well,
was safe...
right now Rusty's still alive, but you know that's not gonna last for long. He's a couple of minutes away from being turned into one of the Taken.
You know, and we worked on Taken for a long while, and when we initially started to build the concept, the basis was on serial killers from comics and movies.
Right.
We wanted them almost seem like immortal enemies, and they always turn up when you least expect them.
Yeah, and they seem kind of mindless. Well, that's because the Dark Presence just sort of strips everything away from them. It just leaves this empty shell and fills it with darkness and sort of throws them at you. They're really about aggression, and they don't really do subtle.
And that's exactly why we love the melee weapons, right? And we actually considered giving them firearms at one point, but when we tried that, I think it took away something from the unique feel of combat. That
Yeah, because we kind of want them to come at you.
Yeah, they need to be aggressive, right? And I think the melee weapons also represent something old and mythical, what the Dark Presence is, unlike the light, which is modern and technical.
Yeah, and of course you probably noticed that they keep on babbling all the time. Well, you have, but no, I'm talking to a player here. That was actually kind of an experiment because we just wrote some of that stuff on a whim for Stucky in the beginning, and when we got the lines back from the actor, it was creepy as hell. So we, of course, decided that we gotta have more of this stuff, and we just wrote more of it in.
Yeah, exactly. It was excellent.
Something had torn a mammoth-sized hole in the wall.
Please don't feed the animals. Fishing is only permitted for those prisoners who purchase a park fishing license. Obey the park ranger's instructions at all times. Rusty? Rusty, no! Never approach closer than 100 yards. To bears and wolves, never approach any other wildlife closer than 25 yards. Pets must be leashed at all times. Never leave your pet unattended. It is against the law to remove any natural objects or historical artifacts from the park grounds. This includes even you and me, or even simple berries.
Rusty!
The ground was covered with oily patches that looked like liquid darkness. Something had torn a mammoth-sized hole in the wall.
Please! Don't feed the animals! Fishing is only permitted for those visitors who purchase a park fishing license. Obey the park ranger's instructions at all times. Never approach closer than 100 yards. To bears and wolves, never approach any other wolves. Pets must be leashed at all times. Never leave your pet unattended. It is against the law to remove any natural objects or historic artifacts. This includes even rocks you may find along the river, or even simple berries.
The Elderwood National Park sits in the middle of the dark and majestic Elderwood Forest. It's a place that features bare sun-bathed mountainsides and tall redwood forests and temperate rainforests and marshlands. Despite some hiking trails and friendly signs, it's nevertheless a wild place like nature is, and you shouldn't venture out too far into it after dusk. This place is inspired by the many beautiful nature preservation parks that are a staple of Pacific Northwest. And as we do like to throw the player out into the forest a lot at night time, this location really is in the essence of our gameplay.
Lover's Peak was at the far end of the nature trail. Lover's Peak was at the far end of the nature trail. Lover's Peak was at the far end of the nature trail. Lover's Peak was at the far end of the nature trail. Lover's Peak was at the far end of the nature trail.